You left your baby with us 10 years ago. The voicemail screamed through my phone speaker, making me nearly drop my morning coffee. Emily needs braces, private school tuition, and a whole new wardrobe. You owe us this after abandoning her. I sat at my kitchen counter, a bemused smile playing across my lips as I listened to the hysterical message from Vanessa, my ex-husband Marcus's new girlfriend. The accusations continued. Marcus told me everything about how you just left her on his doorstep and ran away. What kind of mother does that? You need to take responsibility. My name is Olivia Bennett. I'm 35 and have never given birth to a child in my life. I took another sip of my coffee, letting the familiar aroma ground me as I played the message again. Vanessa's voice dripped with righteous indignation, but all I felt was curiosity. What game were they playing? The timestamp showed the call came at 3 a.m., prime time for drunk dialing or desperate schemes. Given Marcus's history, I was betting on the latter. My phone buzzed again. A text this time. We know you're getting these messages. Emily needs $25,000 for her private school tuition by next week. It's time to step up and be a mother. I couldn't help but laugh. Marcus had always been manipulative, but this was a new low. During our 5-year marriage, I'd watched him try every trick in the book to extract money from people. Investment schemes, fake business ventures, emotional manipulation. But claiming I had an abandoned daughter, that was creative, even for him. The truth was simple. I left Marcus 8 years ago after discovering he drained our joint accounts to pay off gambling debts. The divorce was quick and clean, thanks to my ironclad prenup. He fought it, of course, trying to claim half of my successful interior design business. But the judge had seen right through him. Another message popped up, this time with a photo attached. A young girl, maybe 9 or 10, with blonde hair and blue eyes, stood smiling at the camera. She was pretty, but looked nothing like me. Your daughter misses you, the caption read. I saved the photo, adding it to my growing file of evidence. Something wasn't adding up. Marcus knew I couldn't have children. It was a medical fact we discussed during our marriage. I'd had a hysterectomy at 23 due to severe endometriosis. The surgery records were clear and irrefutable. My phone rang again. Marcus this time. I let it go to voicemail. Olivia, you can't ignore this forever. Emily's your responsibility too. We've protected your secret for 10 years. But if you don't help us now, everyone will know what kind of mother you really are. Protected my secret. I pulled out my laptop and opened a folder labeled Marcus, Evidence. Inside were years of documented messages, financial records, and court papers from our divorce. At the bottom was a subfolder marked Medical, containing scanned copies of my surgery records. I dialed my lawyer's number. Jessica, it's Olivia. Remember how you said Marcus would try something eventually? Well, he just did, and it's bigger than we expected. Jessica had been my lawyer since the divorce, and she knew Marcus's patterns well. What's he up to now? He and his girlfriend are claiming I abandoned my daughter with them 10 years ago. They want $25,000 for private school tuition. But you've never. Exactly. They're sending photos, making threats. Something's not right. Send me everything they've sent you. Don't respond yet. Let me do some digging first. After hanging up, I poured myself another coffee and walked to my home office. The wall of windows overlooked the city skyline, a view I'd earned through years of hard work building my design business. Marcus had always been jealous of my success, constantly trying to insert himself into my company's operations during our marriage. My computer pinged with an email notification. More photos from Vanessa, this time showing the girl, Emily, at various ages, school photos, birthday parties, holidays. They clearly put effort into this charade. But there was something familiar about Emily's face that I couldn't quite place. I started running the photos through a facial recognition program I'd installed after the divorce. Marcus's previous schemes had taught me to be prepared. As the program worked, I scrolled through local news archives from 10 years ago. If there really was an abandoned baby involved, it would have made the news. Nothing came up matching their story. The facial recognition program beeped. A match. My hands stilled on the keyboard as I stared at the results. The girl in the photos was indeed named Emily Carson. Her pictures appeared on a local dance studio's website from 2 years ago. Her parents were listed as Michael and Sandra Carson. I picked up my phone and called Jessica back. Found something interesting, I said when she answered. The girl in her photos? She's not their daughter either. They're using pictures of a local dance student. That's identity theft of a minor, Jessica replied, her voice sharp. Send me what you found. I'm calling in a favor with a detective I know. I forwarded everything, the photos, messages, and facial recognition results. As I did, another voicemail came in from Marcus. Last chance, Olivia. Either you help us with Emily's tuition, or we go public with how you abandoned your baby. Think about what that would do to your precious business reputation. I smiled, thinking about the birth certificate they claimed to have. Even if they forged one, it wouldn't match my medical records. Marcus had always underestimated me, assuming I'd either cave to his demands or react emotionally without thinking things through. But I learned from our marriage. Every decision I made now was calculated, every reaction measured. He thought he was pulling off an elaborate scam, but really he was walking right into a trap of his own making. My phone buzzed with a text from Jessica. Detective Morris wants to meet tomorrow morning. Bring everything you have. This is bigger than simple extortion. I started gathering the files, my mind racing. What were Marcus and Vanessa really up to? Why use photos of a real local girl instead of finding pictures online? And why now, after 8 years of silence? Something told me this went beyond their usual scams. They seemed desperate, almost frantic in their demands. The question was, what had pushed them to this point? I was about to find out. Detective Morris's office smelled of coffee and old files. He studied the evidence spread across his desk, his expression growing darker with each document. Your ex-husband and his girlfriend are using photos of Emily Carson, he said, tapping the dance studio printout. Her parents filed a report last week about suspicious people photographing their daughter outside her school. Now we know why. Jessica, my lawyer, leaned forward. This goes beyond harassment and extortion. They're stalking a minor. I felt a chill despite the warm office. Why her? Of all the children they could have chosen for this scam, why pick a local girl? Detective Morris pulled out another file. That's where this gets interesting. We ran background checks on both Marcus and Vanessa. It turns out Vanessa worked as an administrative assistant at Carson Dance Studio 3 years ago. She had access to all the student files, including photos. She stole them before leaving. I asked. More than that, Morris replied. She was fired for suspicious activity with tuition payments. Nothing was proven, but several parents reported missing funds. The studio eventually repaid everyone to avoid scandal. The pieces started falling into place. So they're using photos they already had access to. But why wait 3 years to try this scam? Jessica opened her laptop. I might have an answer for that. I did some digging into their current finances. Marcus took out several high-interest loans 6 months ago. They're due next week. How much? I asked, though I already knew the answer. $25,000. The exact amount they were demanding from me. Detective Morris nodded. They're desperate. But they made a crucial mistake using Emily's photos. Mr. and Mrs. Carson are pressing charges for harassment and unauthorized use of their daughter's image. We've been building a case. My phone buzzed. Another text from Vanessa. Emily's asking why her mom doesn't love her. How can you be so heartless? I showed it to Morris. They're getting more aggressive. Good, he said. Keep documenting everything. Don't block them. We need evidence of every contact. Jessica pulled out another document. I've drafted a cease and desist letter, but given their financial situation, I don't think it will stop them. No, I agreed. Marcus never backs down easily. When we were married, he'd always doubled down when cornered. He's probably already planning his next move. As if on cue, my phone lit up with a call from an unknown number. Morris nodded, signaling me to answer on speaker. Hello, Ms. Bennett? A woman's voice, unfamiliar. I'm a reporter with the Daily Tribune. We've received some interesting information about you abandoning your child 10 years ago. Would you care to comment? I met Morris's eyes as I replied carefully. I'm aware of these false allegations. I've never had children. My medical records prove this conclusively. Your ex-husband provided us with a birth certificate. A forgery, I interrupted. Detective Morris at the Central Precinct would be very interested in seeing that document. Shall I transfer you? Silence then. I'll need to verify some things first. After she hung up, Morris was already dialing. I'm calling the fraud unit. Forging birth certificates takes this to a federal level. I sat back, feeling strangely calm. They're getting sloppy. Marcus usually plans his schemes better than this. Desperation makes people careless, Jessica observed. Those loans coming due must have them panicked. Morris finished his call and turned to me. We need to move quickly. Now that they're trying to involve the media, things could escalate. Are you willing to wear a wire? If we can get them to admit to the fraud in person. I thought about Marcus, about all his schemes and manipulations over the years. Yes, it's time to end this. We spent the next hour planning the operation. I would contact them, agree to meet about Emily, and wear a concealed recording device. The police would be nearby, ready to move in once they had a confession. As we finished, Morris's phone rang. His expression turned grave as he listened. That was the fraud unit, he said after hanging up. They found something. Your ex-husband and his girlfriend didn't just forge one birth certificate. They've created several, all for different children. This might be part of a larger scam. Multiple children? Jessica asked, shocked. All targeting wealthy divorced women, Morris confirmed. You're not the first, Ms. Bennett. Just the first to fight back with evidence. I thought about the other victims, women who might have paid out of fear or guilt. How many? They've identified 3 cases so far. 2 women paid over $30,000 each to keep the story quiet. I felt anger rising, not for myself, but for those other women. Marcus hadn't changed. He just found a new way to exploit people. My phone buzzed again. Another message from Vanessa, this time with a new photo of Emily outside her school. Today's date was clearly visible on a banner in the background. They were still watching her. I showed Morris the photo. His jaw tightened. That's it. We're moving now. The Carson family has been worried sick about these stalkers. I'm not waiting for them to escalate further. He made another call, mobilizing his team. Jessica started gathering the documents, her movements precise and efficient. I stared at the photo of Emily, an innocent child unknowingly caught up in Marcus's schemes. This wasn't just about money anymore. They crossed a line, endangering a child for their greed. When do we move? I asked Morris. Tomorrow morning. We'll have everything in place by then. He handed me a small recording device. Are you sure you're ready for this? I thought about all the women Marcus had scammed, about Emily and her frightened parents, about the years I'd spent recovering from his manipulation. More than ready, I replied. It's time Marcus learned that some schemes have consequences. The cafe we'd chosen for the meeting was quiet, with just a few early morning customers nursing their coffees. I sat at a corner table, the wire hidden beneath my blouse, waiting for Marcus and Vanessa to arrive. Detective Morris and his team were positioned strategically around the block. Jessica watched from a parked car across the street, ready with the legal documents if needed. They arrived exactly at 9, Marcus looking older than I remembered, his confident stride now tinged with desperation. Vanessa followed, clutching a large envelope that I assumed contained their forged documents. Olivia, Marcus said, sliding into the seat across from me. Finally ready to take responsibility? I kept my voice steady. Show me the birth certificate. Vanessa pulled a document from her envelope and slid it across the table. Proof that you're Emily's mother. Dated 10 years ago. I studied the forgery. It was good work. They clearly invested in quality materials. But the hospital listed didn't match my medical records, and the doctor's signature was too perfect, too crisp for a decade-old document. Interesting, I said. Did you use the same quality paper for Sarah Mitchell's daughter, or Jennifer Cooper's son? Their faces went pale. Marcus recovered first, his voice dropping to a whisper. I don't know what you're talking about. No? The women you scammed before me? The ones who paid to keep things quiet? Vanessa gripped Marcus's arm. We should go. The dance studio must have had lots of photos to choose from. I continued, watching them squirm. All those children's files you had access to before they fired you for stealing tuition money. Shut up, Marcus hissed. You don't know anything. I pulled out my phone, showing them the latest photo they'd sent of Emily. The Carsons filed a police report about stalkers photographing their daughter. Want to explain that? Vanessa stood abruptly, but Marcus pulled her back down. Wait, he said, his tone changing. Look, we can work something out. You always were the smart one, Olivia. There's money to be made here. Are you actually trying to recruit me into your scam? He leaned forward, eyes glinting. Think about it. We have the system perfected. The documents, the emotional manipulation, the press threats. We just need someone with better business sense to help manage it. Someone like the woman whose accounts you drained during our marriage. That was different. I was young, stupid. But this, he gestured to the birth certificate. This is foolproof. These women, they're so afraid of scandal they don't even check the documents properly. And Emily? What about her safety? Vanessa waved dismissively. We're careful. We only photograph from a distance. I'd heard enough. I reached up and adjusted my necklace. The signal. Actually, I said as police officers appeared at every exit, you're not as careful as you think. Detective Morris approached our table, badge out. Marcus Reynolds, Vanessa Porter, you're under arrest for fraud, identity theft, stalking a minor, and forging federal documents. The look of betrayal on Marcus's face was almost comical. You set us up. No, I replied calmly. You did that yourself. I just made sure there were consequences this time. As they were led away in handcuffs, Vanessa turned back. You'll regret this. We know things about you. I stood gathering the forged documents for evidence. You know nothing about me. That was always your weakness. Outside, Jessica met me with a satisfied smile. The Carsons are pressing full charges. With the wire recording and these documents, Marcus and Vanessa are looking at serious time. And the other victims? The fraud unit is contacting them now. Your evidence helped expose the whole operation. I watched the police car carrying Marcus and Vanessa disappear around the corner. The morning sun felt warm on my face, and for the first time in weeks, I felt truly at peace. Later that evening, I sat in my office updating my client files when Jessica called. Thought you'd want to know, they're offering a plea deal. In exchange for lighter sentences, they have to reveal every scam, every victim, every detail. But I said, those women deserve to know the truth. The Carsons wanted to thank you. Your quick action helped stop the stalking before anything worse happened. I thought about Emily safely back to her normal life, unaware of how her photos had been misused. I'm just glad it's over. You know, Jessica added, Marcus asked to talk to you, said he wants to explain himself. I looked at my wall of windows, at the city lights twinkling in the growing dusk. No, I replied. I don't need any more explanations from him. His actions said everything. After hanging up, I opened my desk drawer and pulled out my old wedding album. I kept it as a reminder of lessons learned, but now it felt unnecessary. The woman in those photos, the one who'd once been so easily manipulated, was gone. I dropped the album in my shredder, watching as the past was reduced to confetti. Outside, the city hummed with life, and my future stretched ahead, clear and unencumbered. Sometimes the best revenge isn't confrontation or anger. Sometimes it's simply standing firm in your truth and letting justice take its course. Marcus had tried to trap me with lies about a child that never existed. Instead, he'd only proved that I was no longer the woman he could manipulate. That woman was gone, replaced by someone stronger, wiser, and finally, completely free.